Hey guys, Pot ISM, welcome to part 1 of our Revell 125th Dodge Viper SRT10 video build. So as I've mentioned before, this is a memorial build for our dear friend Tracy Fogelson, who passed away about a month ago, I think it was now. Completely unexpected, out of the blue, and shocked pretty much all of us. We had this Viper build planned, and Tracy was going to take part, so I thought a fitting tribute to do the buddy build in his honour. Plenty of people taking part. There's already a couple finished, and there's loads underway. So a great tribute for our friend, and this is my build in honour of Tracy. Now, this kit was a kind gift from Andrew Dewar. Thank you, Andrew, mate. You're more than generous, mate, beyond belief. Thank you very much, mate. And like I said, it's a kit we had planned for quite some time as a buddy build, so we're finally going to get around to it. Now, I'm not a Dodge Viper fan. It's definitely not a car I'd pick to build, but I'm going to do this in honour of Tracy, purely because it was a gift, basically. Sounds really ungrateful saying that, but it is. It's the main reason I'm doing it as a memorial for Tracy. So we're going to jump in. I've got no review of the kit, and I didn't look through the box, which I nearly always do, and I don't know why I didn't on this. So basically we're going to jump straight in with the build. It's only a two-parter on this, with a condensed one following up later. So yeah, let's get on with the build. And we're on with the Dodge Viper build. So the body shell isn't too bad on this kit. Actually pretty clean. Not badly moulded at all. We've got several sections to paint, including the bonnet, the boot lid, the two side skirt sections are glue in place, and the rear panel on the back as well. So we're going to start off by cutting off all the pieces we need for the bodywork, get ourselves familiar with them, have some test fits, and see what needs to go where. So best way of doing this is get your instructions, get a highlighter pen, and go through and mark anything that needs to be body colour. It's the easiest thing to do. Go through, have a thorough check, a double check, and that way you won't miss any parts. There's nothing worse than painting up all the body parts and then realising you've missed a piece. It's an absolute nightmare. So basically anything that's going to go our body colour, which for this car is snakeskin green, mark with a highlighter, then we can go through and double check everything. So like I say, several components to assemble. The side skirt are two-part. We've got the boot lid. Everything's going to need cutting off and cleaning up, like so. And everything's going to need test fitting as well. We've also got a spoiler that we are going to do in carbon. That includes the support and the ends as well. And like I say, this rear piece, not a bad fit. Not the best, not the worst I've seen. Actually fits in pretty well. I didn't need to use any filler. Just use my Tamiya Extra Thin to glue it in place. The boot lid, trunk, whatever you want to call it, not the best fitting part. It needed a bit of fettling here and there to get it to fit, and it still didn't fit as cleanly as what I've liked it. It fits all right without the glass in, and then as soon as you put the glass in, it pushes it forward, which we don't realise till later on. So, yeah, a few adjustments here to get it to fit better, but yeah, while there's no glass in, it fits really well. When there's glass in, not so much, but hey, one of those things. Bonnet, we just got the sprue connector point to clean up. This is a really good fit, not bad at all. So some gentle sanding with our UMP sanding sticks. And a quick test fit. We're not going to bother with the hinges, we never do. There we go. And then the rear valance bumper insert, we're just going to clean up gently with some sponges and some UMP sticks. And get them all nice and cleaned up. Like I said, it's actually a really clean body on this kit, not bad at all. I will openly admit the Viper doesn't do anything for me really at all. The only real reason I'm building this is obviously it's part of our memorial build for Tracy, and it was a very kind gift from my buddy Andrew as well. So not my kind of subject at all, but we'll get through it and we'll get it built. So like I said, we're going to go around, clean all the parts up and get everything prepped for primer. On the side skirts, there's these two little inner pieces and he glued in place. So Tamiya Extra Thin. Be very careful of the glue capillarying through onto your fingers. You don't want to leave marks on the outside. It doesn't take a lot of glue at all. Just a few spots here and there. And there we go. That's that glued in place. A little bit on the outer edge. And obviously we'll repeat that to the side. Now we're not going to put these on yet because looking at the instructions, it interferes with the body fitting over the chassis. But we are going to have a little bit of a test fit. And they're a little bit fiddly. You've got to kind of get one piece in the back, slot the front in, and then get that lower piece in. But overall it fits in quite well. There's a few seam lines that run down the front of the back and one on the front of the bonnet, which I very nearly missed. So again, go around, double check. I know a lot of people use a marker pen. I don't like putting marker pens on the body. I just think it's something else to cause your paintwork to go a bit screwy. So I just use my eye and look around. And yeah, sometimes you do miss them, but they're very faint on this as well. So double check when you're looking around. After everything's sanded, we're going to give it all a quick rescribe. I'm not going to go crazy. As I always say, I see a lot of people on YouTube look like they're trying to cut through the plastic, and we're not. We're just trying to define the line a little bit better, and maybe where we've sanded a few parts, redefine it so it's a bit more noticeable as well. Use my Holly, I think this is the 0.2mm one, is my favoured one. I do like the Holly ones for the control they give, and you can get these from the Far East, any shops in Japan. They're not expensive and is by far the best scriber I've used for ultimate control. And there we go, just some light scribing and job done. Now we're going to go around with our Tamiya 2000 grit sanding sponge and key all the surface. This will get rid of any nasties on the body, any remnants of the moulding process. It'll also key the plastic, putting thousands of micro abrasions in there, and that will allow our primer and paint to adhere better to the overall body. I know you all know this, but I'll always repeat it because, well, it's good knowledge to have, isn't it? Like I say, we're not trying to sand through, we're not trying to sand detail off. We're literally taking that shiny top layer of plastic off and leaving a nice scuffed surface behind uniformly all around. And of course, we're doing all the other parts at the same time as well. Just taking our time, especially on parts like this where we've got weaker parts of the structure. Don't be applying too much pressure. There we go. And as we always say, perfect preparation prevents piss poor performance. Yes. The spoiler is going to be black. It's not going to be body coloured. And there is a carbon sheet in the kit. But as you'll see in a bit, we're not going to use that because it's grey carbon, not black. Now, I'm going to stretch some sprue here and use this to hold some of the parts. As you can see, the mirrors are held on with stretch sprue. The reason for that is that it glues in place securely and holds the parts well without fear of dropping them. With the heat gun on its second setting, it will actually melt plastic. As you'll see, no need for a flame. Just run the heat gun over for a few seconds, turn it around slowly. And then once it droops, any second now. Ooh, there we go. Once it droops, we can give it a good pull. Stretch it out and then hold it. Hold it for a few seconds. If you let go instantly, it'll coil back on itself and ruin it. And there we go, job done. In this case, just cutting it to the correct length. So there's two of them. And a little bit of glue we can hold parts on. I've also glued some pieces of sprue to the underside of some of the plastic parts as well. It just gives a more secure mounting point. It's glued. We can snap it off when we're done, leaving a clean break behind. But mainly when painting and 2King, I want a nice secure mount for everything. The body is 3M taped to my usual standard use for my alpha models. And we're going around with some Pro Scale Paints pre-paint degreaser to degrease all the bodywork, get any fingerprints off, any crisp crumbs, chocolate fingerprints, you name it, remnants of the moulding process, everything off to give us a nice, perfect surface to prime on. Being thorough here is key, making sure that your stand is holding everything well. And if you do touch it again like this, make sure you wipe over those points again, because if not, you just put a nice greasy fingerprint right back on it. So yeah, be thorough here and keep it nice and clean. Same with all the other bits as well. Just be gentle with the smaller parts, they are easily broken. But you can see mounted to the sprue, glued with Tamiya extra thin. They are very, very secure. It doesn't have the sheer strength of super glue, so it does hold it a little bit better. Now I do have the front canards there as well, which I'm not going to use. I don't like the look of it on the kit. So I have got them mounted. I do prime them, but we're not actually going to use them on the kit. I opted out at the end because I just didn't like the look of them, if I'm totally honest. But there we go. With everything cleaned up, we are ready for some primer. So in the booth, we've got our Tamiya anti-static brush. We've got some Pro Scale Paints white microfiller primer. We've got my Iwata Revolution-CR3, which is a 0.3mm needle airbrush. We're at about 18 psi. I'm going to put 3-4 coats of primer on, starting off with a nice light coat, even coat all around. Now, it's a tricky body shell, this one. There's lots of nooks and crannies. So just be thorough in getting in all around those vents, holes, lights, all the inner structure, around the windows, the wheel arches. There is a lot to contend with on this. And just work your way around slowly until you've got a nice, even coat of primer. Don't hose it on. It's not how our primer works. Our primer works by building up with multiple coats. So don't be hosing it on. This isn't Tamiya primer where it likes to go down really wet. This is a microfiller primer. Once this is dry, we can flat it back and we'll have a silky smooth surface ready for paint. At every coat of primer, we'll put it to flash off for 5 or 10 minutes. And obviously, we need to prime all the smaller components at the same time as well. And as always, be aware on smaller parts, it coats so much quicker, so you don't need anywhere near as much paint as you need. Airbrush control is key here, and the only way you'll get better airbrushing is to airbrush more. It's a plain, simple fact. You can take courses on this, you can do anything in the world, read stuff, take everyone's advice, buy the best airbrush. It's practice that will make you the better painter, and it's as simple as that. I paint every single day, often for hours on end sometimes, and it's doing that will make you a better painter. So I would say we're on our third, I think I did 3 coats of primer on this, and this is probably the 3rd coat of primer. So once you let it flash off for 5 minutes, always give the body a blow over with just air of the airbrush, because you will get a little bit of dust or whatever landing on the surface. You don't want that trapped under the primer, so always blow over the model with the air of the airbrush. And like I say, just pay attention to all those nooks and crannies and make sure you get everywhere covered. Now, we've let the primer dry overnight. We've got our Pro Scale Paints Snakeskin Green. We've flatted back the surface as well. Sadly, I have no footage of that. I'm not sure what happened. But we've flatted all the surface back with 3000 grit Tamiya just to smooth it all back. And we've got a beautiful primer surface now ready for paint. Now, this is, I think it's Chrysler, is it? Dodge Chrysler? Yeah, Dodge Chrysler Snakeskin Green. Absolutely beautiful colour. Remember, a Pro Scale, if there's no paint, there isn't a paint there that you want, give us a shout and we'll try and mix it for you. No extra charge for custom mixes. Same Iwata Revolution CR3, 0.3 airbrush at 18 psi. And we're going to put down, I think on this one, I put about 9 coats down. Because it was such an opaque green, I just wanted to build it up really slowly. Now, you might think, oh my God, 9 coats of paint, that's a lot. It's not actually a lot because I'm putting so thin a coat down. It's very little paint, and I'd rather build it up slowly on a beautiful colour like this, because at the end, this colour is absolutely stunning. So there's no benefit in hosing the paint on. You will get better finish by putting multiple coats down. It's as simple as that. It's how our paint is designed to work. So just build it up slowly. Concentrate and get all these nooks and crannies first more than anything. So get a nice even coat down while getting in all these grills, wheel arches, windows, vents, everywhere, rather than worrying on hosing coats down. And what we're going to do, we're going to let flash off 5 minutes between each coat, and then come back and apply another coat. And we will alternate between coats from going left to right across the body and then up and down on the next one. And that way we will get ultimate even coverage everywhere. Now I'm going to paint every square inch of the upper body, even in the boot itself, the trunk. All that will be painted black later, as will some of the engine bay, etc., etc. But like I say, our main goal here is to get nice even coverage, and of course, make sure you paint all the separate pieces at the same time, because otherwise you'll end up with a different colour. When you put the bonnet on, you'll see a difference in colour, and make sure the coats are roughly the same. Take your time here. There's no need to rush at all. This can take me an hour or so, just painting a body. It is my favourite part of modelling, so I'm quite happy sat here painting away. But just do the best job you can. And make sure you're going on and off the air at the end of each coat so you don't spit paint onto the body. Again, with priming, painting, clear coating, the more you do, the more confident you'll get and the better job you'll do. It's as simple as that. There's no other way around getting good at doing things. The more you do it, the better you get. So I would say we are about 4 or 5 coats in here, and you can see that beautiful metallic green really starting to come alive now. It's a stunning colour. We've used just under half a bottle of paint. Like I say, I put a lot of coats of paint on this. 90, no, actually not on this one. On the McLaren, about 90% missed. Probably half of the paint is missing the body. You can see it on the filter behind and on my hand. So not most of it isn't going on the body. It's just the nature of painting cars. But you can see the colour building up really well. And here we go for our last coat. So I reckon this is coat number 8. I think I did about 8 coats. I always lose track. And you can see we've used, I would say, just over half, maybe 3/5 of a bottle of paint. Considering that we've got a body shell that's quite a complex shape and all these separate parts as well, that's not bad at all. And the colour is just absolutely phenomenal. And you can see the depth I've got already just off the colour itself. I'm going to be honest, I was quite tempted to leave it satin, but I knew it was going to pop once 2K cleared. So yeah, I pushed through and thought, no, we're going to clear this. But this is where taking your time pays off, because you'll always end up with a better finish. With multiple lighter coats, you'll always get a better finish than if you do 9 light coats. It'll look better than if you do 5 medium. It always will. It just builds up slower. It gets its metallic pigment correct, its shade correct, and it just looks better. And it can take quite a while to do. Like I said, I'm probably an hour and a half into painting this. I'm painting for what, 5-10 minutes per coat, then leaving it for 10 minutes. So I'm not at the bench for 2 hours, in and out. But yeah, there you go. That's it. The beautiful colour. Now, this is dried for about 6 hours. The paint is almost touch dry immediately. But if I'm going to mask, I always leave it for 6 or so hours to make sure it's fully dry. And we're going to mask up for a black stripe. Now, many options on this car for stripes. I opted for this one, which I kind of saw online. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to adapt that to my own style. So we're going to mask up the centre, the roof, and the trunk as well. I'm using my ruler to make sure everything's equal. It all looks pretty spot on. We've got our Azu tape here. Moving away from the Tamiya tape for the thinner tapes. Tamiya doesn't seem to be cutting their 1mm tape properly lately. It's all wavy, so when you're pulling it off the reel, it's not perfectly straight, whereas the Azu tape is. So I've used Azu for years, and I've kind of gone back to it now. So you've got the 1mm and the 2.5. Now, I've done my outer lines. Now I'm doing my centre line. And again, we're measuring all this as we go to make sure it's in the middle. And then just carefully placing it in place. Obviously, all the tape is being detacked as well. And what we're aiming for here is to get perfectly central and equal distances across the masking. So again, quite a while in masking up here to do this. And then double checking with the ruler as well. Just to make sure it's all central. I'm a bit OCD on this stuff. I do want it to be sitting absolutely perfect. And then underneath we're going to snip that little line so we can fold under each piece and get a nice crisp demarcation where the vent is. Cut off any excess as well. Decal scissors from Tamiya, again, very useful for this. And then we can start infilling the edges. So we've got the 1mm for our actual mask line, then the 2.5 onto the 1mm, and then we'll move on to the Tamiya 6, 10 and 18s. Like I say, each piece of tape is detacked as well. Usually on the back of my hand on my forehead. Yes, your forehead works very well detacking tape, but if anyone's watching you, you look nuts. You literally look like a madman. And then, like I say, we can come in and infill with the Tamiya tape. So make sure your tape's burnished down. You don't need to do any of this rubbish. I always read online of spraying more of the base colour to seal the tape or a coated clear. Just use good quality tape. The Azu is just as good a quality as Tamiya. And as long as you burnish it down, I get no bleed through at all, and don't hose your paint on. Now, if you look what I did there, I measured the stripe on the bonnet, and the stripe on the bonnet is exactly 2 widths of Tamiya 6mm tape. So that way, we can put our central stripe on the roof to follow the one on the bonnet, and then 2 pieces of 6mm tape side by side, and then a piece of 2.5 Azu on the far outer edge, and that should give us our perfectly distanced lines. So it's a case of get the outer one on, get it burnished down and all nice and straight. Make sure they're all butted up against each other perfectly. And then we can remove that, and there we go. Perfectly with stripes. And we'll repeat that for the other side as well. And over the boot lid, as you see, when I offer the bonnet up, it's perfect. Right then, so in the spray booth, we've got some Pro Scale Deep Black. This black I developed a while back, and what a colour. It literally lives up to the hype of being deep black. I've also masked up the back end as well, because I didn't realise this needed doing, but it actually does. So I've masked up all the back end, same technique, just using the Azu and the Tamiya tapes together. And the key here, don't hose the paint on. Again, we don't want to hose the paint on at all. If you used to use the like a Tamiya paint here, LP, X, or TS, because they like to go down wet, when you unmask, you'll end up with a step in the paint that you can feel with your finger. With my paint, with Pro Scale paint, because you put nice thin coats down, there's no step when you unmask it. It's perfectly smooth. So it just shows you how thin our paint is compared to some of the paints out there, which is much more beneficial when doing things like this. And because we're not hosing the paint on, there's no risk of bleed through on the masking tape at all, which is a common, probably 90% of the time if people have bleed through on their masking tape, is because they've been hosing their paint on. It's none of this rubbish of spraying at an angle or sealing it with a clear or whatever. It's just either poor masking tape or they're hosing the paint on. While we're here, we're going to paint the spoiler. That was primed black earlier on, and we're going to give it a couple of coats of Pro Scale Deep Black. We are going to carbon the top of this though. So just a couple of light coats, building the colour up. And this deep black lives up to its name. You'll see in a bit when I've masked and sprayed everything just how deep the black goes. And the same on the bonnet as well. Just nice light coats, building it up, getting in that vent all around the front and rear of the bonnet as well. And there we go. So all painted up. So this is the nervous part now, thinking, oh, did I mask everywhere properly? Yes. Please make sure you detack all your tape as well, because you are pulling the tape off the edges of paint where they are going to be their weakest. So detack your tape. Use cling film, saran wrap, sandwich wrap, wherever you call it in your country, as a major filler for everything else. And then, yeah, it's a nervous task of unmasking everything, hoping nothing's gone wrong, you've not ruined your paint job. And yeah. And there we go, look at that. Perfect. No step on the paint whatsoever. We've got a perfectly masked back end as well, looking absolutely stunning. Final piece on the bonnet. How satisfying is that? Oh, would you look at it? That is perfectly masked. Not an ounce of bleed through. Absolutely perfect. And the same on the boot lid as well. Although I didn't need to mask the upper part of the lid where the hinge is, because glass covers that and I didn't realise. But yeah, looking good. We just chuck everything on for a quick test look. And oh, would you look at that? How cool does that look? Yep, exactly what I was looking to do with it. Very happy. All the lines are perfect. They're all the right distance. There's no bleed through. Absolutely spot on. Love it. Right then, like I say, now you do get a sheet of carbon with the kit that's cut to size. You get one for the top and one for the bottom. Now, I wasn't happy with the colour. It's grey. I didn't want grey carbon on the car. It's got black stripes. So I cut out the kit supplied one. And then cutting out some of my Tamiya carbon decal. I'm just going to cut it roughly to size and then pop it on the back. And we'll draw around it with a pencil and cut it out as close as possible. There we go. Quick test fit to make sure it all fits in. There we go. Like I say, pop it on the back, line up with the edges. I've got a mechanical pencil with a nice straight bit of lead. And then we'll just draw around it. There we go. Template. We can cut out our own carbon, which will look a lot better than the horrible grey stuff that comes with the kit. And then carefully cutting around it with our Tamiya scissors. There we go. Like I said, I don't understand why they gave you grey carbon with the kit. It just stands out way too much, especially with black stripes, which I think are an option in the kit as well. So a bit of an odd one. In the kit, there are stripes in decals for the kit. But again, you know, I want mine look different. There's several of us building this kit. I don't want mine to look the same as everybody else's. So I opted to do my stripe a little bit different. So yeah, adding a different piece of carbon as well is another nice touch. So it's the little differences that make all the difference, if I'm honest. Make yours stand out from the crowd, especially when we're doing buddy builds, especially when it's the same type of kit as well. So yeah, don't be afraid to add something different to your model. There we go, with that cut off, and it's been placed in our decal water for a while. We can get this in place. Standard decal procedure in the warm water. Well, it's actually cold water today. We're not heating it up for one decal. Get it in place, get it all equal, all around. So it's got equal overhang, and then hit it with the decal solutions, which, as always, are the ultimate decal solutions. So I know on the Tamiya decal film, it needs a strong. It doesn't really respond. It does, but it takes its time responding with the normal. So I always go straight to the strong. Make sure it's all where you want it. Hit it with a couple of coats of the solution. You can always move it around if you're careful. There we go. And again, don't be afraid to move the decals around. You do get a bit of working time with them. See, I even took it all the way completely off there. Just trying to get it to sit correct where I want it. Enough overhang at the edges and at the front and back as well. And it's quite tricky on a decal of this shape sometimes. There we go. We're getting there now. Once we're happy, decal solutions, like I say, UMP strong. Just setting it in place. Let's sit for a minute. Let's soften the decal. And use our nice brush off our water pen to burnish it all down and get it set in place. Now, a lot of people ask about these water pens. Years ago, I used to put decal solutions in them. And it was a great convenient way. I had different ones for different strengths, yada, yada, yada. But somebody told me that they were airtight. And I was like, no, no, no. And then I noticed myself that the decal solutions started to lose their potency. So yeah, well, that was a great idea. They're not airtight even with the cap on. And it does ruin your decal solutions over time. So yeah, don't keep your decal solutions in here. But I got so used to using the brush that I can't really use anything else anymore. So I still use the pens with nothing in there whatsoever, just because I got so used to the brush. Right, with that all decaled up, we can go back to the kit decals on the emblems, the Dodge logos on the boot lid. So again, the Revell decals, nothing wrong with them at all. They go down really well. So just get it in place, hit it with the UMP strong. Make sure it's all nice and level. And the same for the emblem on the front as well. Just get it in place, get any moisture out from behind it, and set it in place with the decal solution of choice, which for me, again, is the ultimate strong. A couple of decals on the side as well. Like I say, Revell decals, generally reliable, normally pretty good. Obviously, age-related ones can affect them. They can fall to bits, but generally, yeah, normally all right, Revell decals. Right, panel line wash. We've got Tamiya black. Because it's such a bright colour, I'm just going to go straight to black on this one. I'm going to put a panel line wash in all the panel lines, believe it or not. So it's Tamiya's enamel-based black panel line wash. Literally touch it to the panel line, the capillary reaction will carry it through. Let it dry for 20-30 minutes and then wipe it off with a clean cotton bud and tissue. Use some mineral spirit. I like to use Sansador from Winsor & Newton. It's odorless, so it doesn't stink the place out. And I know that is totally safe over our paints as well, and any other paints that I've used in the past. And there we go. Everything is now mounted, ready for 2K. We are literally ready to go. We've got quite a few parts to manage, so it is going to be a little bit of a tricky one to do. But the colour looks phenomenal, and it's only going to get better once we 2K. Now, I thought at this stage, I was like, yeah, I'm all ready to go here. All ready to go. But no, I forgot to paint the Dodge and Viper logo on the back of the car. So we're going to very awkwardly paint them by hand. So, yep. We've got some Vallejo model colour black with a little drop of water. We don't need a lot at all. You got a little bit too much. You get a cotton bud to suck it up before we mix it. And then we'll mix it all up with a cocktail stick. So Vallejo model colour, water-based over lacquer. If you muck it up, you can get a wet cotton bud and you'll get it all off again. So don't worry about that. I did contemplate using the cocktail stick. It didn't work. So we're going to go straight to a brush And with our Optivisor on, our Tamiya Optivisor on, and a steady hand and a nice 00 Winsor Newton Series 7 brush, we're going to very carefully paint the Dodge and the Viper logo. So, a nice steady hand required. Bit of concentration. I've sped this footage up because it did take quite a while to do. And what I've got, I'm loading the brush up with paint, but not too much that it flows out everywhere. I've got the brush angled probably at about, I don't know, where's it, about 70 degrees, I think it is. Am I working it out right? Let me think. I'm rubbish at angles. Let me work this out. 70. Yeah, probably is about 70 degrees. Just at a bit of an angle. So we get the wider side of the brush touching the letters. And that way we get the paint down without flowing into the gap of the letters, which is what we don't want. But if you do that, if you do, get yourself a moist cotton bud. I definitely didn't lick it though. No way did I lick that. And no way to just wipe it and make it worse. There we go. And there we go. There's that side done. Wipe off any excess paint on your hand. And then get the very finishing touches on the E. There we go. And then repeat that on the Viper on the other side. And that's it. That's where we're going to leave the video today. We'll be back in part 2 very soon. Thanks for watching today. Please feel free to leave a comment down below. And I'll catch you all very soon.